Welcome, everybody. I'm Sue Moran. I'm Falmouth Board Chair. I want to welcome Congressman Keating, Senator DiMacedo's rep. Vinny, thank you for coming. Representatives Vieira and Fernandez, our partners and gathered friends. On behalf of the Board of Selectmen and our town, welcome to Falmouth. The Coonamessett River restoration has been many years in the making, but is finally occurring. We are looking forward to the benefits of a restored river system, including a better habitat for commercially important fish species and other wildlife, a more resilient coastal valley that can absorb floodwaters, and a natural wetland community that can bounce back from storm impacts, and a healthy, restored ecosystem with expanded opportunities for recreational and educational activities along the river's length. Soon, we will all enjoy a restored river system, but we will also have the satisfaction of leaving such an important legacy for future generations. And I'm going to say there was no coincidence that I saw a rainbow on the way over here. Soon, we will all enjoy a restored river system, but we will also, whoops, said that. Anyway, lost my place for a sec. I want to take a minute to recognize and give thanks to the members of our technical team who represent federal and state agencies, town departments, commissions, and local community conservation organizations. For federal, Jim Turak. Are you here, Jim? Just wave in the back. For state, Beth Lambert, Steve Hurley, Brad Chase. Give a wave. Thank you. Great. From the town, we have Jen McKay, Chuck Martinson, Peter McConaty, Jim McLaughlin, Marcus Barracks, Mary Schumacher, Betsy Gladfelder, Jim Grady, and Greg Frazier. Thank you. And from the community, we have Wendy Buesler, Pam Poloni, Linda Deegan, Chris Neal, Jessica Wittenauer, Gary Anderson, April Wobst. Give a wave. Our thanks to all of you for your service to the town of Falmouth in helping make this restoration a reality. And now to our invited speakers, our partners and our supporters, who we also thank for their significant contributions to this project and who are here to share their thoughts on this historic occasion. As MC here, I first want to introduce and give my personal thanks to Congressman Bill Keating of the 9th District, U.S. House of Representatives. Come on up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sue, and thank you for your leadership and the strong support of the town of Falmouth and Falmouth officials. I want to thank again all the people that are represented here, all the agencies, federal, state, local, all the nonprofit groups that are here. I want to thank my colleagues in government, Representative Vieira and Lance Lambros, who's representing Senator DiMacedo. This is a huge priority for myself and our office in the entire country. Few areas are affected as much as our area from the effects of nature, climate change, and actually some of the historic effects of damming up areas and trying to create and fool Mother Nature for the short term, and we can see the effects of that. I'm leaving here momentarily because of the storm we had and the surge that we have. I have a boat of mine very much in distress as we speak, and it really underscores the fact that when we have these type of surges and storms, that this project here is going to be so important in alleviating the effects of that, because there'll be a natural area that will be able to take that surge and dissipate the effects of it. I've also, in this district, been witness to projects that will have effects like this will in terms of herring. And that will just open up areas. When those dams were put into place, the natural effects of herring and other species were stopped. We will be back here in just a period, it'll amaze you all, just a period of months when this hits a stage, and we will see the herring flowing. I've seen it before. It's amazing what will be unleashed. This is truly smart money. Yes, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money that came from the federal government, the state government, nonprofits, locals, all working together. But it's a smart use of that money. It's cost effective, because what we're doing with this project is we're letting nature heal itself. This is truly holistic in nature, and we will see the effects of this. And that's what we're learning. Instead of trying to fight natural resources, make it a strength. One of the other things that I think is important to realize too is not just the recreational aspects of this, but the economic effects of this as well. I think there's a great metaphor, because part of this land and part of the reasons it was in the state it is was to utilize a very historic industry in this region, cranberries. Yet I think as we look at this transition, we can look at another enormous leadership role that our area is taking in another important endeavor, and that's conservation, really harnessing natural resources and making sure that for environmental reasons, for mitigation against storms, for increased recreation that's there for our region, for making sure economically this is something that will be an asset, not a detriment. That's a lot that this one project. So I'm excited about it. It's an enormous success, and I think we're all going to be able to really witness firsthand what's going to happen as we proceed. So congratulations. It's a great day to do this, and it's something that has taken a while, but it's something that's well worthwhile being here and celebrating and enjoying as we look forward to, given the chance, taking the harness off, watching what nature can do to bring itself forward. So thank you, Sue. Thank you for being here. I'm very pleased.
You know, as the congressman said, this has taken a long time. Jen McKay mentioned this has been 7 years in the making, and it's a testament to Falmouth's ardent support of its natural resources and of the partnerships it's able to bring together. I want to recognize, I saw a couple of my fellow selectmen. Sam Patterson is here, as well as Doug Brown. Hey, guys. And I also next want to just introduce Lance Lambros, who's here on behalf of Senator DiMacedo for Plymouth and Barnstable.
And the senator sends his goodwill. Trust me, he would much rather be here than in the conference committee up in Boston, but that's where he got called in. I was fortunate enough to work for the Senate President, Therese Murray, before Senator DiMacedo, and remember when we first started this, actually, almost 8 years ago. And then more recently came with Senator DiMacedo in the spring to visit the area and see what was about to happen. And I remember him saying to me, and he wanted me to remind everybody today, the impressiveness of the togetherness that we felt when we were down here before. And just when you look at the group of people that are involved, you get the town of Falmouth, the Coonamessett River Trust, the 300 Committee, Falmouth Rod and Gun Club, Falmouth Community Preservation, the Botanical Club of Cape Cod and the Islands, the Association to Preserve Cape Cod, the Mass Division of Ecological Restoration, Marine Fisheries and Wildlife, Mass Environmental Trust, NOAA Restoration Center, the Fish American Foundation, the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and of course the engineer Interfluve. This is just a great group of people, and it doesn't happen individually by any one of them, but when we all get together, it is amazing what we can do. So on behalf of the Senator, we want to say congratulations. We'll be working through this first phase and watching it closely and hoping to be back here again soon to continue and finish the next phase. Thank you very much and have a great day.
Next, I want to introduce a guy who actually walks the walk. You can tell he's very familiar with the area, always has a shovel in the ground on any of these projects. Respect him very much as an outdoorsman and as our local representative, David Vieira of Plymouth, Bourne, and Mashpee. What did I say? Oh, say it.
Battlefield promotion. I got Plymouth in my district now. Thank you, Susan. You know, when Senator DiMacedo came down, he met with members of the trust, and we filmed one of my shows on the road with Dave Vieira. And we were getting ready to get into the river that day to do some tagging. Unfortunately, the fish decided they didn't want to be tagged that day, and we didn't find any. But that was a day that there weren't fish running. And as a young man that grew up in East Falmouth, I remember my grandfather. He retired from Joe's driving range, which is now T-Ticket Park. He retired up here to Hatchville on Crooked Pond. And we would get up in the morning in the spring, and you could hear the gulls. And the first thing he would say is, "They're running, let's go." And we'd hop in the Datsun yellow pickup truck, and we'd drive right to where we are today. Back then, you could bring a net if you had a permit, and you could catch some herring, and you could watch the annual rite of spring. Of course, back at home, Grandma was preparing the vinha d'alge so that we could take the fish and we could soak them and marinate them and then deep fry them and eat them. But over the years, we saw what's happened to the run of the heron, not only from those things that we did along the river corridors, but those things that we do out at sea and that are affecting the annual cycles. And so from my office, as we support the various stages of this project, for me, it's to go back to a sense of the land. It's to go back to a sense of yesterday, so that our children and our grandchildren will be able to wake up in the morning on a spring day, hear the gulls crying, and come down and watch the annual rite of spring. And so to all of the partner agencies, thank you not only for what you're doing here, but so many of you were critical in the Quashnet River restoration, and some of you are now embarking with the town of Mashpee on the Childs River restoration at the Farley Bogs and Gardner Bogs in that area. And so together, let's pull together, let's get synergies amongst all of our organizations, and let's prepare for the next generation of what this river will be. My daughter, Emma, she's 5 years old now, and she's done this 4 times. She's come down here already 4 times, and she asks, when do we get to go back and see the fish? And so let's continue to do that, continue our marking program, our Adopt a Heron program that the Trust does, and make sure those young people are invested in this project as much as all of us. Thank you.
Next, I want to recognize our newest representative who certainly has hit the ground running on every important issue, Dylan Fernandez, Falmouth, Martha's Vineyard, and Nantucket.
Thank you, Sue. I just want to thank everyone for coming out and really applaud the town of Falmouth for continuing to be a leader on environmental preservation and sustainability. Falmouth has really set itself apart from the rest of the state when it comes to those issues. And when I think about the Coonamessett River, like David, I grew up, so my father lives on Turner Road, which is at right next to the Coonamessett Pond, and I grew up around 10 or 11, I would come down and I would try to catch the fish myself. Might have contributed to the herring decline in the region, but luckily I was very unsuccessful. But there's just so many great memories here as a young kid, walking the bogs, learning about the herring run. And this project for the town really is all about sustainability and habitat sustainability. And on the Atlantic, we've seen over 90% decline in herring. Over 90%. Some places have seen a 99% decline in herring. And a large part of that is because of the dams that were constructed over the years to block the herring. And it's great to see that the town of Falmouth is removing dams, allowing for this habitat to foster and grow. And another large part of that is around water quality. And that's another place where the town of Falmouth has been a leader. And that's a place where we in the legislature are really working to improve the water quality of the Cape and Islands. With David and Vinny, the entire Cape delegation, we know that our water resources are our #1 resource on the Cape and Islands, and we want to preserve that for future generations as well. So we want to take a sustainable and holistic approach to this river project like the town is already doing. So I just want to applaud the efforts of everyone here today. And as David said, and I just want to echo that, for future generations to be able to come down here and observe and appreciate the natural beauty of Falmouth, that's something we can all be very proud of. So thank you very much.
I have to remark on Dylan's boots because I see everyone here just is so invested in the project. This is just part of what we do. I mean, people just pitch in no matter, whatever makes sense. I next am very proud to welcome Commissioner Ronald Amadon from the Mass Department of Fish and Game. Thank you.
Thank you, Selectman Warren. And thank you to the town of Falmouth for having us down to be partners with you. The Coonamessett River Restoration Project was made possible by the vision and the efforts of the town of Falmouth and many, many others. It brings together a great team of partners, many of whom we have here with us today. Since 2005, the staff from DER, along with Division of Fisheries and Wildlife and the Division of Marine Fisheries, has helped the town of Falmouth and its partners to plan this restoration project. Some of the staff that we have here with us today is from DER, Beth Lambert, Hunt Dury, Alex Hatman, and Eric Ford from the Division of Ecological Restoration, along with Brad Chase from Division of Marine Fisheries. By removing these dams and restoring the streamside corridors, we improve the habitat for not only fish but all the wildlife that inhabit these lands. The Department of Fish and Game supports projects like this for many reasons. And like many of the Cape Cod rivers that you have down here, the Coonamessett is a groundwater-fed river. It has the potential to provide clear, cold water on a year-round basis, and that's very important. Although the river's been stressed by human use, we believe that it can return to a good health. Many of the Cape's groundwater-fed systems still support sea-run brook trout populations in many areas of the Cape. And the wild brook trout population has been restored to the upper end of the river, and we hope that before long we'll see a sea-run brook trout migration going on here as well. Last year, we had an estimated run of herring of over 70,000 fish, but we know that that is really only a fraction of what's possible here. And we hope that the population will return to what it once was and what we hope it becomes. The project will help us understand how herring populations respond to barrier removal and habitat restoration. The Coonamessett project and the restoration work that we've started here today will ensure that future generations will enjoy a healthy river system for perpetuity. Projects like this will improve our economy all the way across Massachusetts. In addition to the environmental, public, and safety and other community benefits, investments in ecological restoration generate a strong economic return for everyone. Over the past 2 years alone, projects assisted by our DER team have invested over $22 million and support an estimated 275 jobs and $38.5 million in total economic output. This unique project in the Commonwealth, for a large number of volunteers and local organizations that have come together to act as stewards for the river. Your energy and your drive to restore the river inspires us and serves as an example for other communities throughout the state. The Coonamessett River Project, like many others like it, are a win-win for our communities and our economy and our environment. I want to thank the town of Falmouth and the selectmen for inviting us here again today. Thank you very much.
As I saw the monarch butterfly pass over his head, I was looking at the artwork that's done by the students. So, it goes without saying, everyone here who does this important work is also helping to pay it forward because there's an educational component to this. So thank you for that. Next, we have Acting Supervisor Steve Block from Greater Atlantic Regional Office, NOAA Restoration Center. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for the project partners and the friends and officials for attending this great event. We appreciate the opportunity to join you all here today. When Betsy contacted me and asked me to participate to speak on behalf of NOAA, I jumped at the opportunity. And it's not because of the importance of this project. It's because I actually have emails going back to 2003 when we started planning and talking about this project. And I actually had a site visit as recently as 2005 down here. So it's great to be able to be here, congratulate people and the project team on the perseverance to actually get this far out of this long a time. So we're proud to be here. NOAA contributed funds and technical assistance through a 2016 Coastal Resiliency Grant, and Jim Turek of NOAA provided his great technical skills and support for more than a decade on this. It's a pleasure to be working with extremely dedicated town staff committed to the project. They've contributed many hours, all kinds of in-kind services, and the town of Falmouth has been one of the most dedicated local partners that we've had the pleasure to work with in this region, and we thank you very much for your efforts in this. So river herring. Why are we doing this for the river herring? River herring are a keystone and vital forage species. So these migratory fish spend 3 to 5 years or more at sea, and then serve as a food source for many commercially and recreationally important fish, such as striped bass, Atlantic cod, and bluefin tuna, along with many other fish and wildlife species. During their stay in the freshwater, they're forage for trout and other game fish and wildlife, such as osprey and otter and great blue heron, and to provide the vital life support to these ecosystems. So in closing, I'd like to especially thank Dr. Betsy Gladfelter, who's tirelessly led this project and effort for more than a decade. She's been a stalwart project manager, a great technical team leader, prepared all kinds of scopes of work, led fundraising, coordinated community engagement, and has served as a liaison to various town committees, the federal, state, and local agency partners, and elected officials. Betsy, you've done a wonderful job in getting us to the finish line. Congratulations, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, I can yell. Everybody knows that. Okay, so next we have for Program Manager, Kate McDermott. Welcome, Kate.
Hi, I'm just filling in for Kim Tillis. She's our Director of Massachusetts Environmental Trust, but unfortunately she was unable to be here today. So I'd like to thank the Baker-Polito administration as well as Secretary Beaton for giving us the opportunity to come down here and be part of this program. And we'd like to thank mostly all the motorists that purchase the plates that enable us to fund these types of projects. So we thank you again, and we thank Betsy and Selectman Moran for the opportunity. Thank you.
So when you're getting a new car, think about asking for a particular plate. Just keep that in mind. Tell your friends and anyone you know. I want to recognize the well wishes of Mark Forrest from CCWCD. Couldn't be here, but sent his regards. Next, I want to introduce a really talented guy who's taking over the Association to Preserve Cape Cod. I also see Ed DeWitt here. Want to introduce a really great friend of mine, Director Andrew Gottlieb. Welcome, Andrew.
So I'll be brief and loud. Anyone who worked with me knows I can be loud. I thank Sue for asking me to participate, and I did want to acknowledge Ed for all his efforts to help move APCC as a partner in this project over the last 5 years. You know, for APCC, we work on resource restoration projects up and down the Cape. This is a great example, perhaps one of the best ones on Cape Cod, of what can be done, what needs to be done as part of an overall strategy to help us deal with water quality, to restore our fisheries, and more importantly, bring back a link to what brought people to Cape Cod in the first place. So these types of projects, and this one will show the benefits of it, that it's doable, it makes good economic sense, it makes good social sense, and it's good for our environment. So it's a great project. We're happy to have played our role in this project and look forward to working with our partners at the federal government, Commissioner Amadon, his staff, and the rest of the Baker administration on other projects because we can replicate the work that's been done here. The other thing I'll note is for those of you, most of you who were not able to attend the APC's annual meeting, we did recognize Betsy for her great work on this project. And, you know, as she mentioned in her comments, quite graciously, I think that, you know, she represents a lot of the other partners who've been here and worked on it. And what I'm struck by at these types of events is that you can see the effect of the dedication of people who've been working on this issue here for 15, 18, 20 years, other river systems, Aquashnet, you know, before that, the difference that the individual contributions can make to making something like this happen. And so sometimes it's easy to feel kind of lousy about what's going on in the world. When you come to a project like this and you got a little bit of patience and a little bit of endurance, you get to enjoy a day like today. So we're really happy to participate in this and thank everybody.
You know, Andrew makes a good point about preparedness. I mean, anyone who's been in Falmouth knows we ourselves have really, just like most of the Cape, experienced floodwater issues, a lot of climate change issues, despite that argument, happening right here and now. And these are some of the projects that are absolutely necessary for preparedness. So that's just another reason to be thankful. With respect to local talent and effort, I next want to introduce on behalf of the Coonamessett River Trust, President Wendy Buessler. Thank you, Wendy.
Hello, thank you. So 15 years ago, a group of Falmouth residents saw the potential that the Coonamessett River could be the jewel in the crown of open space in our town. Just as the Coonamessett winds through the center of Falmouth, it also wove its way through the history of our town. As Falmouth grew and changed, the river was altered to fit different needs and uses. This project will bring the Coonamessett River full circle to a time when herring were plentiful and the river ran free. It also provided a natural corridor from the ocean to one of the Cape's largest freshwater ponds. This restoration project that we celebrate today will allow more herring to reach their spawning grounds faster, easier, and with less stress. This will hopefully lead to lots more baby herring, which then will turn around and give food source to the stripers that we all like to fish for and the tuna. The brook trout in the river will be happier with the cooler water from the shaded river. It will also help American eels whose miraculous life cycle brings them to the Coonamessett River from the faraway Sargasso Sea. Birds, turtles, frogs, butterflies, bees, and otters, and many other animals will benefit in this restored ecosystem. Writ large, it's also an exciting and visionary nature-based approach to addressing two of our region's most pressing problems, nutrient pollution and coastal change. As we have already seen, this reinvigorated open space is a perfect outdoor classroom for teaching students about animal life cycles, ecology, hydrology, local cultural history, and their environment. The Coonamessett River Trust is so grateful, so thankful, and so excited to see our dream turning into reality today. We want to say thank you to the funding agencies, to our elected officials, the Town of Falmouth employees and volunteers, and the people of Falmouth who all played a part in making this project possible. We especially want to thank Falmouth's present and past herring wardens, Chuck Martinson, Paul Montague, and George Souza. If it wasn't for their several decades of dedication to ensure that herring could make their way past the 18 water control structures that are from here all the way up the 3-mile length up the river to the Coonamessett Pond, we might not still have a viable population of herring to celebrate today. I also want to thank our wonderful Coonamessett River volunteers, many who are here in this group today, who have contributed so much time in gathering important data that is being used to shape the restoration. Our volunteers were out here in all weather conditions, sort of like today where we have them all at once, in sun, rain, heat, snow. They were counting herring, tagging herring, inventorying plant species, measuring the river channels, picking up trash, mapping the cold water inlets, etc., etc., etc. We logged nearly 2,000 volunteer hours in just this past year alone. However, most of all, the Coonamessett River Trust wants to thank the Conservation Commission and the Conservation Department, and in particular, Betsy Gladfelter, for her amazing energy and efforts for moving this restoration forward. She's been tireless and completely awesome. The Coonamessett River Trust looks forward to continuing our partnership with all of these groups so we can continue to monitor and assist in the restoration. Restoring the Coonamessett will continue to bring benefits to the people of Falmouth for generations to come. Thank you so very much, everyone.
Thank you. Next, I want to talk about an administrator who's about to speak, who's done so many incredible projects and so much for Falmouth. From the 300 Committee, Executive Director Jessica Rittenauer.
Thank you. The 300 Committee is enormously pleased to be part of this special ceremony marking the groundbreaking of the Coonamessett River Restoration Project. This restoration project builds upon decades of land acquisition efforts that the town of Falmouth has been working on, dating back to the 19...
You weren't using it anyway.
Yeah, it's not working.
I will... Okay. The town's land acquisition efforts in the river corridor date back to the 1960s. And in fact, when the 300 Committee was founded in the mid-1980s, we joined forces with the town to preserve important lands along the Coonamessett River because we knew that they had valuable conservation value for riparian restoration potential, and also because they create fabulous linkage along the Coonamessett River. Over 200 acres of land between the 300 Committee and the town of Falmouth's efforts is preserved, and the Coonamessett River Greenway Trail goes through those areas, connecting for wonderful educational opportunities for folks and for public access. The special emphasis on land preservation continues. We have future projects to add lands to the Coonamessett River Greenway system, including the Andrews pondfront parcels, 9.8 acres, which will become part of the Greenway Trail. The land that we're standing on now is part of the Coonamessett Greenway Gateway Park. So the restoration project, folks will be able to come down here and enjoy picnicking and an outdoor classroom area to really take this all in. The benefits of the restoration, I'll echo the statements of Selectman Moran and from the APCC and Coonamessett River Trust and others, that the fish habitat improvements, the water quality improvements, the creation of the wetland systems, and the opportunity to reduce nitrogen and improve the health of our coastal ponds, all of those efforts are multiplied because of this project. We thank the town of Falmouth for its diligence and persistence in moving this forward. And we thank Falmouth's residents for supporting this effort and the state and federal partners that have provided funding. So thank you all. We're pleased to be here. Thank you.
Well, Jessica was our last speaker, but you know, this is very, very important work. Not to, doesn't mean we can't have fun with it. So we do have a little special treat after a few final remarks. Thank you so much for joining us on this important occasion. We look forward to having you visit many times in the future as the restoration progresses and as we develop a heritage trail along the Coonamessett Greenway. We are about to have a ceremonial groundbreaking, which will occur behind me, but I want to take this minute to invite you to stay if you can and take a tour along the west side of the bog, led by our project engineer, Nick Nelson of Interflov. And now, Betsy, if you would take that first shovel.
Well, I'll have Dave take the first shovel.
Okay.